A little bit about PIRLS, which less of you knew about. I am particularly interested in PIRLS since the Centre in Oxford now has the national responsibility for PIRLS 2016. And this, if you would like to have information about this, it is run internationally by the IEA. That's the International Association for the Evaluation of Educational Achievement. And this test is run every 5 years. So it's a 5-year circle, the first one in 2001, so you see it started almost the same time as PISA. In 2011, it was 129 primary schools participating with almost 4,000 students. And these are younger, so they are approximately 10 years old. Again, it's assessment only of reading, but also information about home and school environments through questionnaires and how often pupils speak English at home, for instance. It's the students who report it, so of course we have all these methodological questions, what students report, whether you can trust that or not. But that's the same for everybody when it's grown-ups and children. Again, this is what usually is presented as results. And as you can see here, this is one of the reasons why the Scandinavians always think that England is doing fairly well in these assessments, because it's if you see the PIRLS scale center point, which is down to 500, you can see that England actually scored high above the average of these studies on reading comprehension. But other things which are interesting is that there's a wide distribution of scores in England. So the highest attaining pupils were among the best readers in the survey, but the lower attaining readers did less well than the weakest readers in some other countries. And that's a challenge, which I'm sure you know very well and are working with each day. This wide range of achievement was characteristic of England's performance in PIRLS in 2001 and 2006. Another key finding is that England had one of the largest proportions of pupils reaching the advanced international benchmark. And there were significantly higher proportions at each benchmark in England compared to 2006. This is a 2011. And the proportion of pupils failing to meet the low international benchmark is similar to the proportion that do not achieve level 3 or above in national curriculum tests for reading in England at the end of primary school. But then, what can we learn if we look at language? If you look at this table, it shows you pupils' reports of frequency of speaking English at home. So for instance, in 2001, you will see that there were 88% of students who reported that they always spoke English at home, and 76-79 in 2006 and 2011. And then you can see their average score on PIRLS, and naturally, as pupils who report to speak English at home always, they do better than the pupils who say that they sometimes speak English at home. We do not know enough about these results, but as you can probably see, the results of average scores for students and pupils who say they sometimes speak English at home is actually increasing. So a lot of research will go into this to actually understand the results more, because we have a lot of data, a lot of numbers, but we do not have very many follow-up studies to explain and help us understand the descriptive statistics. And again, what media is doing is basically telling us that England falls in reading league. This is typical presentation of PIRLS in the media. And it's sad, because when it boils down to what is it all about, it's about those children that you teach and their future and how we can enhance their life chances. And you know that by teaching them reading comprehension, you will also support them to have a better life. So the big question is it possible at all to do something with these international studies and to learn something from them, which we can actually help teachers to support students in the classroom? We had one idea which we're currently working on in Oxford, which I wanted to share with you today, and that is something called PIRLS for Teachers project. So if you Google that, and I will show you a website, I would be very pleased if any one of you would like to comment, be in contact, or would like to know more about it. The whole rationale behind it is that we would like to know what other countries are doing together with practitioners regarding the PIRLS, and also see what is interesting for teachers to know about PIRLS. Especially, we would like to ask teachers, what kind of knowledge do you need for your teaching? And we would like to develop practitioner materials to support teachers and do that together with them. And in the end, we hope to publish a lot on our website, so teachers can very easily access both data and support for their classroom. The reason why we did it is because we talked about what we see as a knowledge gap. It feels like teachers have a lot of knowledge which researchers do not always access. And researchers have a lot of information about these big studies, but we do not always know how to share them the best way with teachers. So the whole idea is actually to cooperate together and see, is it possible for us to see if we can use this data in a better way. And we started in July and met a group of teachers and literacy experts who have studied the PIRLS material together with us. And it's really interesting because we immediately pick up that from a research perspective, there are certain things we are interested in and we see. And then the teachers are telling us, yeah, but from my perspective, you need to look at this, and can we have a look at this? And for my teaching, this would be a much more interesting research question. So we had a really good discussion and what we call exchange of knowledge, and that's the whole idea. And next week we will meet again and follow up what we started in July, and then we will present results which have been based upon teachers' questions to us. So instead of us making the research question, the teachers have in workshops asked 4 research questions which they wanted us to find out based upon the PIRLS data, and then we will present that for them when we meet them again. One of the things they're really interested in is, of course, the purpose of reading. PIRLS have reading for literacy and literary experience, and also reading to acquire and use information. And teachers discuss that with us, how they teach when they think about how do you teach for just enjoying reading, how do you teach if you really would like students to be able to skim and pick up information, factual knowledge, or whatever they need. And then also the reading comprehension processes. How do you design good tasks in the classroom if you would like to teach students and pupils how they should interpret and integrate ideas and information? And also, as you can see, the other things like evaluate and critique content and textual elements. So these are elements which PIRLS try to measure. The question is, how would you like to teach for that? How do you teach for something like that in your classroom? And to give you a flavor of PIRLS again, I would like to show you an entry of Enemy Pie, which is one released task from PIRLS. I'll just read the beginning so you get an idea of it. It was a perfect summer until Jeremy Ross moved in right next door to my best friend Stanley. I did not like Jeremy. He had a party I wasn't even invited to, but my best friend Stanley was. I never had an enemy until Jeremy moved into the neighborhood. Dad told me that when he was my age he had enemies too, but he knew of a way of getting rid of them. Dad pulled a worn-out scrap of paper from a recipe book. Enemy pie, he said, satisfied. The story goes on 2 more pages, so you can see even here for 10 years old, it's quite a lot of text. And it ends up that the boy makes a pie, which is really good, of course, shares it with this other boy, and they become friends. So that's how you get rid of your enemy. It's a really sweet story. But again, what the 10-year-olds will have to do is meet tasks like this. One, which is really a multiple choice, really easy, but then the second one, at the beginning of the story, why did Tom think Jeremy was his enemy? They had to explain based upon the text and try to give evidence for why. And in PIRLS, we are now doing analysis and sharing with teachers. I'll just show you this in the end. If you look at the first one, who's telling the story, we have seen that 87% of the girls have the correct answer here. Less with boys. But look at the responses for the one who always speaks English and sometimes speaks English. They actually are both able to pick up that task. But we had different results for the other tasks. I have no time to present that now, but that is the way we discuss this and actually look at items, and we look at them and see, so what kind of items are challenging for pupils and what are they able to do. Okay, I will try to conclude since my time is up, but I hope I have given you a flavor of what it will see to be assessment literate, also from a teacher perspective. And I hope you also agree with me that these assessment studies, they are here, but as a teacher it's very important to know what they measure, how they measure it, and actually how they influence our own system. So we can have a critical discussion, what can we take from it, and what should we be much more careful about. Also, as you probably saw, I tried to make a point of showing you the text information, to also talk about how much needed it is to know more about research around this, and I'm really happy to see that later today Victoria Murphy will talk about this from her book also, the vocabulary development in minority language learners. And also this is linked to reading research in reading comprehension. As you know, that is one of the things which can really support your pupils, because it's all about learning to read first, but then also reading to learn. And if you're thinking about Semmelweis and this science task, I think you would agree to say that they really need to know how reading to learn and have reading comprehension to be able to do these tasks. And then, some other time, I might come back and tell you about PIRLS 2016, which will be released in 2017. And we're really eager to see then how the minority students are doing in England. Thank you.